I'm Chloe, 25 years old, and I live with my fiancé. Liam. Our relationship isn't what it used to be. Not the spark it once was. We've been together since college. But lately, it feels like we're always arguing. My biggest frustration? Liam doesn't seem interested in planning for the future. He spends his nights lost in video games while I'm left alone in bed. Wondering where we're going. We both avoid the big conversations. The ones about marriage, a house, us. It's not that we don't care. But we've stopped putting in the effort to make things better. My parents, Grace and Henry, are the opposite of Liam and me. They've been happily married for over 30 years. They still look at each other with that knowing glint. Share inside jokes. Hold hands. They're my role models for what a strong, lasting relationship should be. Even though, deep down, I knew I wasn't going to find that with Liam. Then, one evening, everything changed with a crash. I remember arguing with Liam about something as stupid as the laundry. He promised to do it. But, as usual, the promise was empty. Can't you just do one thing you say you're going to do? I asked, my voice laced with frustration. It's just laundry, Chloe. It'll get done eventually, he replied, his eyes glued to his computer screen. The argument ended without truly addressing the deeper problems that plagued us. Later, sitting in the back seat of my parents' car, their conversation was a balm to my frayed nerves after the fight with Liam. They were celebrating another year of Mom's life. Their joy contagious. Then it all went black with a crash. A screech. And then oblivion. When I woke up, I was in a hospital. The sterile smell and the constant beeping of machines my only companions. The doctor's words were cold and clear. My parents didn't make it. And there was a chance I might never walk again. Suddenly, I felt utterly alone and terrified. Liam, the man I argued with about laundry, was now my only link to my life before the crash. As the reality of my parents' death and the possibility of being paralyzed sank in, I felt a deep, suffocating despair. The future that once seemed full of possibilities now felt bleak and barren. In the sterile hospital room, time warped, both too fast and agonizingly slow. Then, Liam walked in, accompanied by his parents, Irene and George. The atmosphere was heavy with sadness. Liam sat by my bed, holding my hand silently, his usual cocky confidence gone. His parents stood by the door, their faces etched with worry and uncertainty. Hey, Chloe, Liam began, his voice barely a whisper. I've been doing a lot of thinking, about us. Yeah, thinking, I echoed, my voice flat, unsure of where he was going with this. All of this, it's made me see how short life can be. He continued, his eyes meeting mine with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. I don't want to wait for the perfect moment anymore, because it might never come. I wanted to ask him what he meant, but the words caught in my throat. What I'm trying to say is, will you marry me? Chloe? His question hung in the air, heavy and unexpected. It was the last thing I thought I'd hear, especially now. I searched his face for a sign of the impulsive Liam I knew. The one who acted first and thought later. But all I saw was sincerity. A quiet, fragile hope. His mother, Irene, stepped forward, her hands clasped together. We want you to be a part of our family, Chloe, and we'll take care of you. It's not out of pity. George, his father, added quickly. It's because we love you, and want to support Liam in taking this step. I was stunned, my mind reeling. This was so unexpected, maybe even a little reckless. But it was also a lifeline. A hand reaching out in the darkness. I looked at Liam again. Really looked at him. I saw not just my sometimes immature fiancé, but a man offering his support in the most uncertain time of my life. Liam, my voice trailed off as I struggled to gather my thoughts. It's okay, Chloe, you don't have to decide right now, he said, his thumb rubbing circles on the back of my hand. I thought about my parents, about the unwavering love and support they had always shown me. Wasn't this what they would have wanted for me? To be loved and cared for, no matter what? Liam, I don't know what the future holds for me, for us, but yes, I found myself saying, the word stronger than I felt. Yes, I'll marry you. A smile, the first genuine one I'd seen in days, spread across Liam's face. Irene let out a soft sob, covering her mouth with her hand, and even George's eyes glistened with unshed tears. Moving into my parents' house with Liam should have been a fresh start. A new chapter, but everywhere I looked, I saw memories of my parents, reminders of laughter and love. I thought having Liam with me would help fill some of the empty spaces. But I soon realized his presence reminded me of what was missing. Rather than replacing it, In the beginning, Liam was attentive, always checking on me, making sure I had everything I needed. But as time went on, he started spending more time on his computer, shutting me out. One evening, I found him staring at his screen in the kitchen. Liam, have you thought about looking for a new job? I asked, trying to keep my tone light. The insurance won't cover everything, and the bills are starting to pile up. He didn't look away from the screen. I told you, Chloe, I'm taking care of you now. That's my job, but I can take care of myself during the day. I pushed back, feeling the familiar surge of frustration. You don't need to be here all the time. Finally, he turned to face me, looking irritated. What do you want from me? Chloe, I'm here, aren't I? His tone caught me off guard. Being physically here isn't the same as being present. Liam, I need a partner, not just a roommate. He stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the tile. You know what, Chloe, maybe I need more than this too. Maybe I wasn't cut out to be a nurse. His words stung, and I watched him storm out, slamming the door behind him. I was left alone in the silence of the kitchen, the weight of his words settling around me. That night, as I lay in bed, I couldn't help but think about how quickly our honeymoon period had ended. The vows we had taken felt like they were from another lifetime. The Liam who had promised to be by my side in sickness and in health seemed like a stranger now. As the weeks dragged on, his absences grew longer, and the excuses more flimsy. He was either out with friends or lost in a digital world that didn't seem to have room for me. I felt like an obstacle in his life, a burden he hadn't anticipated. One particularly tough day, when the pain was bad and the house felt more like a mausoleum than a home. I heard the front door open. Expecting Liam, I called out, "Is that you?" "Yeah, it's me," he replied, his voice distant. "I'm just grabbing a few things. Then I'm heading out again." "Out with friends?" I asked, trying to mask the hurt in my voice. He paused, keys in hand, and sighed. "Chloe, I need some space." "Okay, it's not easy for me either. All this." I nodded, biting back tears. "I know, I just thought we could maybe spend some time together. Like we used to." He shrugged, avoiding my eyes. "Maybe when things settle down a bit." I gotta go. The house felt emptier with each passing day, filled with silence and the ghost of better times. It wasn't just Liam's absence, or the silence left in the wake of my parents' voices. It was the small things that started to go missing, like a vase my mother loved, or a painting that used to hang in the hallway. I first noticed it when I was trying to distract myself with memories. As I wheeled myself into the living room, intent on looking through the photo albums, my eyes fell on the bare patch of wall where the painting had been. Confusion furrowed my brow. "Liam," I called out, unsure when he had last gone out. There was no answer, and the emptiness of the house seemed to echo back at me. Later, when Liam returned, I asked him, "Have you seen the landscape painting that used to be in the hallway?" He barely glanced up from his phone. "Oh, that old thing? Yeah, it was getting dusty, and I figured we could use the space for something else." Something about his casual dismissal didn't sit right with me, but it was my mom's favorite, I said, a tremor of unease in my voice. He shrugged, his attention still half on his screen. "We can get another painting, Chloe, if it's no big deal." But it was a big deal. The items that went missing next were unmistakable things that had been in my family for years. One afternoon, I caught Irene, Liam's mom, in the act. She was bustling around the living room with a big black garbage bag. "Irene, what are you doing?" I asked, my voice sharp with alarm. She jumped, a guilty flush creeping up her neck. "Oh, just some spring cleaning, dear. This place is cluttered with so many old things." "But those are my things," I protested, my heart rate picking up. There, she cooed, her voice sickly sweet. "We're just making things nicer for you. You'll thank us later." I watched her like a hawk every time she visited after that. But the thefts became sneakier, more calculated, and every time I brought it up, I was met with reassurances that it was all in my best interest. One night, lying in bed, I turned to Liam, who was scrolling through his phone as had become his nighttime ritual. "Liam, your parents have been taking things from the house." "My things?" He didn't look up. "Mom's just trying to help. Chloe, you know she's got a knack for this stuff." "Help?" I echoed, disbelief coloring my tone. "By taking my parents' belongings?" He sighed, finally setting his phone down and turning to face me. "Look, Chloe, they think we should be looking forward, not backward. They're just trying to take some of the load off you." I wanted to scream, to rage against the violation, the disrespect, But I was tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of questioning my own sanity. This isn't what I want, I whispered, the fight draining out of me. Liam reached over and patted my hand. A gesture that felt more patronizing than comforting. Try to get some sleep, Chloe. Things will look better in the morning. I couldn't take it anymore and confided in Ava, my closest friend, who was also a massage therapist. She had been helping with my rehabilitation. Her visits a rare source of relief. Ava, things are going missing around the house, I confided as she worked on my stiff muscles. And I can't shake the feeling that Liam and his parents are behind it. Ava paused, her hands stilling on my shoulders. Have you talked to Liam about this? Yeah, but he just brushes it off. Says his parents are helping us by decluttering, I said, letting out a hollow laugh. But it's only my family's things that are disappearing. Ava's brows furrowed in concern. That doesn't sound right. Chloe, do you want me to do something? Maybe come by more often. Keep an eye out. The idea sparked something in me. A plan forming from the embers of my frustration. Could you, I don't know, maybe help me set up some sort of camera or something to record what's going on when I'm not in the room? With a nod of determination, Ava agreed. I'll bring something over tomorrow. We'll get to the bottom of this. True to her word, Ava came back the next day with some discreet recording devices, which she placed in strategic locations around the house. It felt like something out of a spy movie. And if I wasn't so desperate for the truth, I might have laughed at the absurdity of it all. A few days later, Ava returned with the recordings, and we sat down to listen. The voices of Liam and his parents filled the room, and the blood in my veins turned to ice as their scheme unfolded. Once we get her committed, the house and everything in it will be ours, Liam's voice said, clear and cold. Yeah, the place will sell for a fortune. And all those antiques, pure profit. His mother added, her tone greedy. We just need to make sure Chloe doesn't catch on before we have everything in place. His father chimed in. Tears streamed down my face as I listened to their betrayal. These people, who had promised to care for me, to be my family, were plotting against me. Ava reached over, her hand gripping mine tightly. We have to do something. Chloe, she said, her voice laced with anger. I wiped my eyes, the sorrow quickly giving way to a steely resolve. We will. I'm not going to let them get away with this. The morning after listening to the recordings, I tried to act normal, but every word they said, every smile they gave, felt like a lie. It was during breakfast when I noticed something was off. The usual noise of the city that drifted in through the open window was absent. I wheeled myself over to see what was happening, only to find that the ramps that allowed me access to the garden were gone. Liam, I called out, my voice laced with panic. Where are the ramps? He came into the room, feigning ignorance. The ramps? Oh, they were looking a bit worn. Thought they needed fixing. I stared at him, the man I thought I knew. And you didn't think to tell me? How am I supposed to get around? His gaze was evasive as he shrugged. I just thought you'd be safer inside for now. You know, until we get new ones. The room felt like it was spinning. And it wasn't from my injury. Safer, or trapped. The words slipped out before I could stop them. He didn't respond, just turned and walked away, leaving me stewing in a mix of anger and helplessness. Later, when I asked Irene about it, she was syrupy sweet with false concern. We're just looking out for you, dear. We wouldn't want you to have an accident, she said, touching my shoulder with feigned tenderness. I pulled away from her touch, feeling the sting of their deceit. I didn't realize needing ramps qualified as a hazard, I replied, my voice steady, though my insides were shaking. Irene's eyes hardened for a moment before she regained her composure. We're just trying to help. Chloe, it's for the best. That night, as I lay in bed, the darkness felt oppressive. Liam was out again, probably drowning his guilt in cheap beer and cheaper thrills. I reached for my phone, the screen a small beacon in the dark, and dialed the number Ava had given me for emergencies. Ava, I whispered when she picked up. They removed the ramp. I'm literally trapped in my own home. Her voice was firm, a lifeline in the tumultuous sea I was drowning in. Hang tight, Chloe. I'm going to make some calls. We're going to sort this out. The next day, I was in the kitchen when I heard the doorbell. My heart pounded as I maneuvered towards the entrance. It was Ava, flanked by a man and woman wearing crisp suits and stern expressions. They were from a local disability rights organization, here to assess my living situation. Beside them was my lawyer, Mr. Hammond, clutching a leather briefcase. Chloe, we're here to make things right, Ava said, her determination matching the resolve in my chest. Mr. Hammond stepped forward, We need to establish the facts first. Chloe, I'll need to see the house. Check against the inventory of your parents' belongings. As we moved through the house, the representatives from the service took notes, their disapproval clear at the missing ramps and the blatant disregard for my welfare. Liam walked in during the commotion, surprise etching his face. Chloe, what's going on? Who are these people? He asked. I looked at him, really looked at him, allowing the full weight of my gaze to settle on his shoulders. I'm taking back control, Liam. This is my lawyer, and these are advocates for people with disabilities. They're here to ensure my home is safe and that my rights are respected. Irene and George entered the fray, confusion turning to fear as they realized the seriousness of the situation. Chloe, darling, what is this about? Janet's voice trembled. It's about my rights, my home, and the truth, I said, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. Mr. Hammond is here to confirm the inventory of my inheritance. Mr. Hammond opened his briefcase, pulling out documents and photographs. We have detailed records of all items bequeathed to Mrs. Harper. It seems several are missing. Bob's face paled. Now Chloe, I'm sure this is all just a misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding, I replied. The recordings Ava had provided playing in my head. And I have more than just missing items to discuss. Mike's parents looked at each other, the facade of the caring in-laws crumbling before my eyes. Mike stood there silent, the reality of the situation dawning on him. Ava moved closer to me. We also have evidence of the conversations you've had regarding Chloe's property and well-being. The advocates from the Disability Service spoke up. Removing access to the ramps is a direct violation of Mrs. Harper's rights. We'll be taking action as well, as Mr. Hammond laid out the evidence of their theft and their plans for my future. I saw the trap I had been in from the outside. But now, the tables had turned. I was no longer the victim in the game. I was the one calling the shots. Mike finally found his voice. Chloe, I can explain. But I shook my head. Save it, Liam. I've heard enough. Irene started to cry, and George put an arm around her. But there was no comfort to be found in a deceit. The day of the trial was a culmination of everything I had endured. The courtroom was stark, the air thick with tension. Mike and his parents were on one side, looking nothing like the family that had once promised to care for me. I was on the other, with Ava beside me, and Mr. Hammond at the ready with his briefcase of evidence. As the proceedings began, the judge looked down at us from his bench, his gaze lingering on me for a moment. We are here to examine the evidence regarding the allegations of theft and the premeditated exploitation of Chloe Harper, he said. Mr. Hammond presented the recordings, the inventory discrepancies, and testimonies from the disability advocates. The evidence was damning, and Mike's family could do little but squirm under the weight of their own deceit. Irene sobbed quietly, her sobs a soundtrack to the unraveling of their scheme. We never meant for things to go this far, she whispered when it was her turn to speak. The judge's voice was firm as he addressed them. You took advantage of a vulnerable person. There's no excuse for your actions. Mike stood, his voice barely audible. I'm sorry, Chloe. I never wanted to hurt you. I looked at him, the history we shared playing out in a flash before my eyes. Sorry isn't enough, Mike. You chose this path. The gavel came down, like the final word on the life I had once known. Mike and his parents were found guilty. Reparations were ordered, and they were to have no further contact with me. With the help of Anna and a dedicated team, I started physical therapy. Each small movement was a victory, each step a testament to my resilience. My legs, once lifeless, began to tingle with new strength. One day, as I managed to stand with the help of parallel bars, Ava cheered me on. Look at you, Chloe, you're doing it. The smile on my face was mirrored in her own. I am. The joy bubbled up from a place I thought had been broken beyond repair. And so I moved forward, one day at a time. The house, once a maelstrom of my past life, was slowly transformed back into a home, a sanctuary where I healed and grew stronger.